Okay, how are you, Miss Lehman?
I'm very good, thank you. And I don't mind if you call me Ruth.
Okay. Ruth, we just saw this incredible slideshow from Shtetl to Parish. They were slides of the Jewish community of Ste Sophie. How did you come to take these? Where did your interest come from?
Well, as a student at Concordia, I was preparing my final portfolio last year, and I tried to think of a novel idea how to approach the subject of photography. I loved photography, but what could I do that would be a little different? And going to the community of Ste Sophie and New Glasgow often, because I am friendly with the Cottenberg family, or Rosenberg family today, I hit on the idea of using my new photographs and combining them with old. And I went around to the people that I knew and started collecting their old photographs and using them. And if you'll see my exhibition down on Preston Street, there, the old photographs are attached to the mats of the new ones. So, and some are related, and they tell a story. And the one I love to see is, for instance, the old, the woman who started Cottenberg's Hotel feeding the chickens. And she's just hand-feeding them. And attached to that is this large, gigantic co-op chicken feeder the Zritskys have in Ste. Sophie. And the two are just so incongruous together, but they're both chicken feeders. So I just continued shooting, and I continued working, and I knew that someday, somewhere, I was going to show that thing. I had a dream, and it has come true.
And it came true tonight. A lot of the people, they really seemed to enjoy it, and they seemed to enjoy reminiscing with each other.
Very much so.
It seemed like a lot of them hadn't seen each other for, many years and years.
That's true, because these people, some of them came there in the early 1900s. The first people that I showed on the screen are people who came across here in 1903. So then the next group of people that came to Ste. Sophie were 1910. And I think there was some kind of rivalry between the two towns for a long time. This is why I say when they started the cemetery in 1918, it sort of became a unified whole. They both, that cemetery is their greatest pride. That and their minutes that are written in Yiddish.
I understand that the mayor of one of the towns was Jewish himself.
In the late 40s, I believe, Willie Rudy sat in on some council meetings, and he ran for council twice and was and lost. And at that time, the mayor there said that while he was mayor, there'd be no Jewish councillors on his committee there. But in now I haven't written down, I don't remember if it was 52 or 58, Willie became a councillor of the community. And he worked, and the French-Canadian farmers loved him because he was great, and he was good, and he was honest, and he was everything that they needed, and he helped build up the community. And so then, of course, he was elected mayor, and he served as mayor until he died. He died in 1982, and he served as mayor till I think it was October 81, probably when he got sick.
What was the Jewish community life in Ste. Sophie, New Glasgow?
At what era?
In the how about the 1940s?
In the 1940s, they were already prosperous. 1940s, as Mickey had said, this was the time of the Plezhnikas. This was the time that the Jewish people in Montreal were able to go to the country. So they drove 30 miles away, that's all it was. And it was a very big, Cottenbergs had an orchestra. It was a big hotel, comparatively speaking. And this was before the people started going up further to Shawbridge, Trout Lake, St. Agathe. That evolved as the years went by. But at that time, I remember being there in 41, and I remember one of the chicken houses, I tried to turn it into a dance hall. I brought in a recording machine and records, and I remember the song Blueberry Hill we danced to, And I was a little girl then.
I understand there were 2 synagogues up there?
There were more. There were 5 synagogues in the area. I think there was one in St. Lynn, which is it borders on New Glasgow. It sort of works Ste. Sophie, New Glasgow, St. Lynn's. And there were 5 synagogues at one time. At the beginning, at Cottenburg's, they used to borrow Sefer Torah until one of the hotels in Ste Sophie closed down. And so then they were given that Sefer Torah. Now, both synagogues still have services on the high holidays. They each import a rabbi from Montreal, one from Lubavitch, and one I think teaches at Talmud Torah. And family gathers 40, 50 strong for the holidays.
Really? At the height of the Jewish community, do you have an idea how many Jewish families were living up there?
There were at least 60 families, if not more.
Are there still Jewish people up there now?
Yes. There are the Zeritsky's, the Gontovniks, etc. But from the 1981 statistics that I read, Canadian government statistics, at that time, Ste. Sophie, New Glasgow had the greatest amount of Jewish people living in the Laurentians, more so than St. Agathe, which surprised me, St. Adele, etc. Today, there's only a handful of families, and most of them commute. Only a few still live there. Willie and Mary Zeritsky live there, but Gontovnik, who owns the egg factory, doesn't. He commutes. The Goodses, Alvin commutes from Montreal. His father spends the winter down in Florida now. Things have changed.
In the 1940s, at the height of the Jewish community, did they talk English, French, Yiddish?
As I recall, we spoke English. We spoke Yiddish at home. What happened, you see, is at the beginning, that area was all populated by Irish and Scottish people. And that's why the names of the schools, Scotland School, Fort Rose School, the neighbors that helped the Cottenburgs were a family by the name of Jim Burns. And they were wonderful to him, and to them. They say that if not for Jim Burns, they would have starved, literally. What happened, though, slowly, as Willie Rudy was interviewed in 1978, I believe. And he said at that time that by 1977, the population had changed so drastically that there were now about 92% French Canadians. The ethnic people had moved out. There were Russians, there were Poles, there were a very big variety. Remember that at the beginning of the 1900s, the Canadian government was trying to settle people in outlying areas. So they were giving land away, providing you settled and worked the land. And so this is, I guess, why some of our Jewish people went there.
Okay. Why do you think the people left the community?
My own guess is a number of things. A, the advent of the car. It brought Montreal much closer. They had a greater variety of things to do, culturally speaking, food-wise, etc. The people from Montreal that used to come up and frequent the place no longer came there. They started going further north. So in that way, their hotel business died. And it was easier for the people who lived there to go into Montreal. Why stay here? 3/4 of an hour, you're in Montreal. I remember Dr. Zeritsky, who was a big doctor in Montreal. I remember my sisters taking their children to him. And he taught in Ste. Sophie. He was an immigrant. His brothers, his siblings, were born there.
Did he teach in a Jewish school?
No, he taught English. The New Glasgow school was English only. It was a Ste. Sophie school that had both English and Yiddish, or Hebrew.
Did they import Hebrew teachers from Montreal?
Yes, they did. Rabbi Zwick was one of the Hebrew teachers, and his salary was paid by the Hebrew, I was going to say Hebrew Freeloan, the Baron de Hirsch. Mm. See, they sent them out there, and they provided a little bit of comfort for them.
Did the Jewish community up there, did they keep to themselves, or were they part of the greater community?
They participated in local functions, but they also, from what I understand, in the synagogue, they had raffles. They every Yontif, They collected money for Israel long before Israel became a state. I was told on the Ontario they would collect at least $1,000 to send to Israel. They were very much Yiddish. They were all immigrants.
Right.
They came, their mother tongue was Yiddish.
Right. Okay, great. And thank you very much for being interviewed on our program and for sharing these wonderful slides with us, Ruth.
It was my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, we all did.
Thank you very much.